being lazy, some people may not think they have the abilities to do certain things when they really do. So it's a battle of self once again. But AI is nothing more than a tool, and it'll become a real threat when it's able to have symbiote beings be able to toss materials around.
You're trying real hard with that.
And yeah, well, they are, but there's certain things that they, didn't want to do that happen, that people, that the average individuals don't believe that happen. Do a little bit of research. It seems like a movie, action movie thriller or sci-fi thriller, but some of the footage is like over 20 years old. And they're talking about how the AI took over and started to, how would you say, write programs in languages that the originators couldn't even read and decipher. They had situations just like in RoboCop, where you see the scenes in RoboCop where all throughout the world, everybody was trying to make their own RoboCop. Well, all throughout the world, unbeknownst to us as the average laymen's and laywomen's of the world, they actually had incidences of that. Whereas the AI took over and started to shoot and kill scientists in the laboratory before they were able to turn it off or disconnect it. You know what I mean? Another one made another AI presence in order to, because they was trying to sequence to turn it off because it was like a war game scenario, but it really got into the system and really was able to get close to the actual things to set off nuclear bombs and everything. So it was actually like the movie, real live stuff that happened.
Yep.
So if you go and check it, you can see it for yourself, everyone. Just talking about how AI is, because, Nadine has an interesting, viewpoint that she thinks it's like, Revenge of the Sith or something, Star Wars like that, Revenge of the Drone or the drone battles and stuff. Me, myself, I don't say that that's, insane to think that way. No, I say that's just one perspective or vantage point on the idea of where they want to go with AI. It's obviously that they want to go the route, and when we say they, the people that control each marketplace around us and things like that, they want to go for a micromanage idea. And the only way they can micromanage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is to have a non-human track that. And that's why it's doing what it's doing. Because think about it, could you have a human being going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no vacation, no family time, no food, no sustenance, no nothing, just straight work 24 hours each day on what it has to look for, managing whatever it needs to manage.
But, I think also those AI, well, depending. If it's a software in a computer, that's one thing. If it is some AI robotic that's moving around, even that system, I believe, has to shut down or has to charge up or has to be updated, plugged in somewhere, whatever.
Well, they got that in New York. You want to check that out? You got the subway cop in New York, 300-pound RoboCop. That looks like something out of the Jetsons.
Yeah.
It looks like a Ruby droid. The kitchen aid. But if you want to check out and see if that's working, check that one out. And I think they got another one in California somewhere that's doing that. All the other things like for I think it was Prime, where they was delivering food through these little robots in certain selective areas.
Right.
Notice how you don't hear about that no more.
You don't.
That's because people was kicking them over and stealing
Something
them.
was happening.
No, that's what was happening. When you go and check on it loosely, put it in as a Google search, put it in as a YouTube search. It's very easy to get simple information. Whether it's real or not is another situation. But can you get information on where these things are? And you can. And then you'll get a whole plethora of information that says that it wasn't that they were vandalized. It was just that they were able to be taken off their path some type of way. Well, a lot of it is, they just got knocked over and nothing could bring it back up online and things like this. Or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was a lot of different things. There were earth, people don't believe that the terrain or the land that they stand on gives off certain waves, and that causes issues in certain electronics and things like
Mm-hmm.
that when you're starting to deal with certain frequencies. So that's what I mean by the AI is bringing the average person up to speed, because, you know, Alexa, all of that good stuff, you got it personally in your room, you ask these erroneous questions that you think is stupid, that are really not stupid, you know what I mean, and not observant. It's just a question. And
Mm-hmm.
then long and behold, this AI intelligence gives you an answer based upon all the information that it has grouped up together throughout the world to give you an answer on your silly question.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? Once it comes outside of that, then I would have more of a fear of it, like how you're saying. But when you look again, they have these Android, you know, military issue bots that no
Mm-hmm.
matter what position you push them in, they can fire off a direct and accurate shot to kill.
That's something.
Yeah, and all of this is stuff that I'm not, you know, bringing up, and you can just do a Google search. That's why I keep on saying Google to help the algorithm out, because
Mm-hmm.
the algorithm won't say that we're saying it. We're
Mm-hmm.
saying we're referencing Google. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have any issues with the feed. You know what I mean? With the way they're doing things now with speech, and now they understand how to control the streaming and
Mm-hmm.
put blocks on certain things, and the algorithm can pick up certain words, you know what I mean? So in other words, you got to put certain words in. So
Mm-hmm.
Google search, everybody. That's going to be my fail safe. You know what I mean? Every
Mm-hmm.
now and then I'm going to say, do a Google search. If we're wrong, send us a email or something
Let us
stating
know.
that, yeah, let us know. And we're not that big in mind or egotistical that, oh no, we're not bothered with you and your
Mm-hmm.
silly little thoughts. No,
Yes.
no. The interaction is what's needed to make this peripheral work the way it needs to work, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Well, if you, I want to take this time to say good morning to all our art fam all over the place, whether you are on Twitch, in YouTube watching us, in our Facebook group, Let's Paint and Draw Along, or in the group over 50, You Are Not Done Yet. Want to say Happy New Year. My name is Nadineo. I'm here with Don Stevens behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes we end up getting into a conversation right
It's
off
a
the
good one.
top, which is what you caught. And this is just kind of like a natural thing that Don and I, sometimes end up doing. And
Yeah.
if we were in person, man, we'd never get out the door.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey,
but
Nadine, you forgot the line though. The line that we use when we have those situations. What we supposed to say that we
I'm
both
sorry
agreed
for
upon.
talking art.
There it is. Bang in your
Yes,
face,
listen,
everybody.
we're sorry for targeting art, but that it is so important in life.
Hmm.
And I guess what initially started this conversation was creativity and AI, basically in a nutshell. Should
Hmm.
we be worried about the loss of creativity? And
Hmm.
that's where we were. We were also going back and forth on what reference photo that we were going to use to inspire our creation today. I threw a couple of images at Don.
Hmm. Too much.
Um, and so, Don, what do you think?
Well, we got four good ones. We already went through looking at them, and you hate to do that where I say all perfection is a lie, but you wind up having to do these things that a lot of times humans call trying to be perfect or judgmental.
Hmm.
Hey, everybody. So you know what happens is that we look at the photos. So we was looking at the photos going back and forth. All right, one of them I couldn't download. I can only see it online. So the one with the bird I can't see right now.
Okay.
All right. So, but the three that I got is the panda bear one in the tree, then we have the fern,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have the panda on the deck.
Yeah.
So the bird one, I don't know, since I can't see that one, but I remember what it looks like because I closed down the online feed so that
Okay.
we can have more energy going into the Zoom feed.
Okay.
But I would say let's do the panda laying down on the deck.
Panda laying down on the deck. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that with the marker. We can start off doing it in a landscape way. So I may have to, because if we keep it in portrait, right, we
Mm-hmm.
won't get all that background stuff. Well, we'll just get the panda coming into here. You see,
Yes.
you already can see it, and then the rest of the deck would be underneath, and then the vertical, and then that dusty, dirty green, the shadowy, wet looking green is back there. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So already you can see we got a red green type of thing going on, a dual color with, a black tone if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I still might do mine as a portrait because we're not worrying about the back end of the panda bear in that
Mm-hmm.
photograph. If you're showing it, I don't know if you're showing it. I done took everything off.
I didn't show it yet
Oh,
because
okay.
you were referencing the board on how to do that. I'm actually now for everyone in our Let's Paint and Draw Along group. I'm just now posting that. And I need to post it on the other locations.
All
So what I can do real quick, share the screen so you can see which one we are talking about
Yeah.
and confirm with you. You're talking about this one,
Yep,
correct?
that's the one. Yeah, that's the panda one laying on the deck.
He's so
Pretty cool.
cute.
Yeah,
Sneaky.
yeah,
Oh,
a cute killer if you approach him the wrong way.
I know. Um, and
They
so
say they the dumbest, one of the dumbest bear type creatures. You know what I mean?
yeah, but
All they
they ain't
do is
dumb.
huh?
They're not dumb.
And no, as far as psychology is concerned, if you check that out, they say they have the mind state of like a 3-year-old, basically. That's
Oh,
what they say. I'm just throwing that out there because that's probably why it has more fun.
yeah, because they're always rolling around. I mean, to approach life like a child. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what it does all day. It's just testing and playing, testing
all
and
day,
playing.
every day.
Yeah.
Um, yes, so if I remember correctly, I was at a panda um sanctuary. I was at the panda sanctuary in China. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it was Chengdu,
Okay.
China, and I took that photo while walking around in the reserve
Mm-hmm.
and or the wildlife sanctuary. So it was actually pretty interesting to see them kind of like flying around, just having a good time.
Yeah, they chillax all day.
Chillaxing.
Chillax, eat, play, chillax, eat, play. That's their main thing. Even in the wild, they're not really aggressive
Uh-huh. Yeah.
to have their existence. They have, one of the how would you say, one of the creatures that really has a humble existence. If it wasn't for human beings breaking down their environments, they would be in numbers. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
because what eats a panda bear? I don't know. I haven't,
I
you
don't
know
know
what
what
I
he,
mean? Who
yeah,
is their
I don't
natural
know.
predator? You know what I mean? Other than humans, you know what I
Right.
mean? At that point. And then we have a funny thing with them. We love them and hate them at the same time. That's crazy. Most animals we have that type of love for. So if you check
Right.
around. But yeah, that's the one we're going for, everybody.
All
That's the
right,
one
all
right there.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
So if you want to get started, I'm ready. And
okay.
then we're gonna go with our sketch and wash pencils and all that good stuff too as
Yay.
well. That always stays in the mix.
Okay.
So all I'm gonna do is I split my screen and collapse the windows and close the internet down to keep the zoom up. Yeah. So if you was looking at that photograph, everybody, we talked enough art to let you guys get a copy of it if you wanted to or needed to. And if you have already, I'm gonna do mine in portrait. I'm just gonna break it down and do it in portrait and reduce the size of the bear, the panda bear. Because if you control the size of your forms, that controls how much in the composition that you have, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And a lot of times people don't talk about composition and all that good stuff, but you can look at this in that way. You can have the bear lead in this way. Then you have all these verticals, you know what I mean? I mean, horizontals in here. And then now you got to have these verticals in the back. And probably a little bit of the bamboo trees coming down, just to the leaves coming down, just to add to that whole idea of where this bear may be. When we know it's is captive, you know what I mean? So it's in a secluded, cemented environment.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy, in that sanctuary in China.
Mm.
I had to put
Gucci,
in
gucci.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to throw in the Shaw Brothers sound effects. Yeah, I just watched too many martial arts flicks. Hey, everybody. Yeah, man. All right. So now let's get started. This is where I would look on the page and I would look at the photograph. I'll be like, oh, okay. Then I don't want to be absolute center, but I'll move over from center just a little bit. And then I would start the bear's head, the roundness of his head right about here, you know. Then I would worry about where the snout is and I would put a shape for the snout, how I'm seeing it, you see, loosely with the marker there. Yeah, you can see that. I just looked at the laptop. You can see that. Now, if you look in the front here, you see it's like a 3/4 view. So I would make the nose like how we're seeing it already. It's pretty much like a dog's nose, a bear nose. It's same type of nose structure, just to get the basics off. And then now you have the mouth there, you know. And I will simplify just like that. You can change up some things, like make this a little bit more arched in here to get to the top of the head here, you see, which gets to the body here, you see. Can't see the arms, but both of his arms, his front legs and things like that is in and under the head, you see.
Mhm.
So that's what I would do there. Just a basic shape that should show that, you see. The other paw you can see just loosely on that side there. You see? Yeah. Now we can see where the eye patch is, but it's in alignment with where the mouth is. So then I would come in and just put the patch in first. Because then now you can see that the eye is inside here. It looks like the eye is closed. Like the panda is really having a nap moment.
Hmm.
You see? See, with the marker, you can really make your own shorthand. You see, that gets you to the point a little bit faster when you're looking at the shapes. Notice I didn't worry about where the ears are just yet, things like that. I didn't even complicate myself. But some people will. They'll be like, well, what's the measurement to do? It's thingamajiggy, whatchamacallit. This is sitting by this. Oh, how much, space is there? Well, if you want to
Hmm.
look at it like that, I would take the eye as the measurement or the eye patch, the width of it, to say how far across or what's in between the eyes here. So if you look, the patch is the same thing as that space in the middle.
Hmm.
If you look at the photograph, then if you look straight up from where the mouth is, it runs right with the edge of the eye there in the front. Then now you have the muzzle, it curves like so. You know what I mean? So that's an area where there's texture. So what texture or what mark would you make to make us believe that that fur is there on this creature?
Hmm.
You see, not that you're going to fill it in with the black marker. What marks would you make to make us believe that it's that fuzzy, soft fur that the panda bear has and is known for? You see, how about the ear? Okay, if I use the patch once again as a measuring tool, so if I look, I can take 3 patches over, 1, 2, 3, and then that ear would be right around here. Because if you look at the bottoms of the ear, you can see where that dark part of the ear doesn't come down below where the top of the eye is. You see that, Nadine?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So then look, now I can put that fuzzy little round ear in there, you see, and then put some shapes in there and some marks that will resemble the fuzziness of that ear, you know. Then I know the middle of the ear is going to be denser, so I would put more marks in there, you see, because then I want to come back with something else like the graphite, the water soluble graphite, and play with some darks and some, you know, some blues or something in those darks, because I see blue and brown in those dark black, what we perceive as black patches. You see what I mean? Yeah, so then now we can see where the skull comes just above that point, and now I can make my adjustment right there. And then now I can see where the other ear is in between this space here and then right here. And then it comes over to the middle of where the other ear is. You see that up there?
Yes.
And then now you would make up a mark that would show that density, not necessarily the darkness of the fur, but the density of the fur there. You see?
Mhm.
And if you look on the screen, everybody, that's simply what I did. Now I'm going to make up a mark that says what the fur is doing, you see? And if we look in there, it's almost like a lion, it'll start looking like, but then now you'll see where these things that you're putting in to show the density of the fur. See, so you wouldn't put a lot of it in the white parts, right? You notice that?
Yeah.
But then in the dark parts, you know, you would put those marks closer together. So it's almost like little dash marks, little ovalets. You see how I'm doing? Then you
Yes.
have this patch that comes over the back. So then look, now I can adjust the back here. Notice how I'm not worried about that line that I made there. Why? Because I'm going to cover that with color and other things and other marks and things. Notice how we're breaking one of our rules about taking this real far ahead rather than, you know, describing the rest of the scene. That's because you're at your own liberty now, you know, creative license. Like, look, one of those lumbers are sitting right here at the nose, you see, and then that back paw is sitting right there. So I would play up that line right there. You see, to set up that whole thing. And then I would use like a whimsical, sketchy little line. I like my sketchy lines. A lot of people say, oh, it's, you know, it's too much sometimes. No, it's not. It's not. Because it helps. That's me. That's how you know it's me. You say, oh, you know, how do I know that's Don work? It looks pretty sketchy, you know. And then when it looks sketchy, you say, oh, let me look and see the name, and then they might say, oh, that is Don's work, you know. Yeah, you see, and then right where that crease is there, that's where the other eye is on the other side, and you can play with that a little bit too as well. You see, now I pretty much got him there. Now, the whole other controversy is we don't really see the belly, but we do see this stripe that goes across the back. You see
Mhm.
here, and then now this is where it starts to go downward into the back portion. See how I'm making up marks to
Mhm.
make you think it's fur or make you or fool you, or how would you say make your mind think that these marks are actual fur? Yeah, what mark are you going to invent to make us believe fur, panda fur? You see, even in these areas here, I know this is all the denser dark, so I start putting some of my marks in there, leaving less of them on top because it's like a highlight up there of some sorts that I'm seeing. So it's up to you. If you see it, then you want to plan for it. If you don't see it, then you know, don't worry about it. You'll see it in the future. You know, when you check the video out and everything, everybody.
That's right. Check the video out.
Yeah, buddy. You see, look, underneath
Replay it.
here. Yeah.
That's why
Check.
we keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes,
why we keep the
indeedy.
video up for you.
That's the whole thing. You see, and I get a lot of good comments about our videos. Everybody, Nadine included. I don't know why they still just send emails and text to me, but I guess it seems more personal, so that's okay. I don't mind it. You know what I mean? Because I like being personable too. But we do want you to put it on the page every now and then, everybody. So when you make it around to that point, because I promise everybody, I told people that I was gonna copy and paste it myself, your comment. And it was, no, no, don't please don't do that, da, 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 and gave me all these reasons why not. So, Don's weak for the fan base, so I won't do that. But just know one day, you know what I mean, Nadine may catch the fire and be like, you know what, I'm tired of this. You guys stop sending, it separately. As a matter of fact, Don, send them to me. They're gonna have to talk to me now. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so it's like that. So, but still just make up that mark, everybody. See how it feels in. See, I was told by one person that was in a rehab center, it was like, Don, even though I like your voice, you do talk a lot. Maybe you should talk as much as your hand should move. And I said, okay, I can do that. You know what I mean? So then now you see how my hand is moving while we're
Yep.
talking, everybody.
But your
You
hand is
see.
always moving. That's the thing.
I know, Nadine, yours is too. I don't know what they be
I don't
seeing
know what they're talking
sometimes.
about.
Yeah, but we'll go with it, man. I'll
I'm
go
like,
with it.
okay.
All right, if you say so, and you say that's one of the issues when you do a look over or once over of Nadine and Don Stevens, Let's Paint and Draw Along, then okay, I'll step it up and add in, you know what I mean, that idea then. You see, so we have Panda there. Now, the reason why I'm leaving this area out, everybody, is because we see the dock or that tie down point of that, particular place where the panda is. So do we want to put it in? Okay, I'll put it in then.
Put it in, Don. Put it in.
All right. So then look, yeah, I wouldn't put it all the way to the edge. I would reduce the size of it, and then I would just make a makeshift shape of it. Because we know it's not way over here near the ears and everything. So even mine's is a little bit too close, but I'm doing it bigger because I want to use the distance idea. You see, so if I use that idea, that means that this has to be bigger in front. So make it seems like when you took the shot, you were shooting way beyond this point to get that shot in, you see. Now, when I get down here, I put just a space where the rope is going to be before it hits the other wood there. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
You see, and then now that starts the pier there, or the deck that it's absolutely tied down to with wood. So then there is the space for the rope, right? Here's the front cut of that pole that's connected to. So then what do? Okay, I'll start making the lines where the rope is there. Not the twine part on how the rope is made, just the spaces where the rope exists to be able to be tied down to that area, you see? Boom, I got that there, you see? Now I'll play loosely with what the wood is doing. So it's like a knot in the middle, it's a swirl. So I start that idea there. Then maybe put a couple of knots in the tree, dark spots as they call them, and then stretch a line here and do an oval around that, just so that we can see that that's a natural thing there. All right. Same thing on the wood up here. You can see where some of the bark is still in there. So make up a mark and use some of that fraying of the bark at the base of that tie down there. You see? See how I'm loosely just taking that idea and just playing it up. Remember, everybody, I'm pro-expressionist, impressionist. So Mark and Vision is real big to me. You know what I mean? That's the money makers. That's what makes people go ooh and ah and things like that. Like, look, there's a knot here or a hole here. And then we make it look like it's a hole a little bit more by having the frayed part come over, and then now we darken in right in there like so. If you want, you can zoom in on it to get it even more so, to see what that wood is doing to give you those darks in there. You see, so I just want you to have the feeling of what's going in. You see, and then now you can notice how some of this stuff on the outside is doing this idea to show you what the roughness of the tree bark and the striations in the wood. Even in this area here, there's a little bit more of a darkness. I would play that up with a couple of extra lines there, and then play it up by having it go around the knot. If you look at a lot of trees and stuff, the striations or the timelines, as we like to say we see, they circle around knots or imperfections in the tree. You see, I would do the same thing on top. I'll do one like so. Some of the other things I would do is make it darker here right at the edge earlier on. You see, maybe some curved marks to make it seem like it's round. You see, mark invention is very important. You want to fool your viewer to believe that certain surfaces are there just based upon the type of marks that you put there. You see, now I can put the belly of the panda here, you see, and then just put a couple of marks that look like fur going up, and then show that last little bit where the legs are darker there. Put in a couple of lines just to make it darker this time, a little bit more. But you got to use whatever line that you made up to make us believe the fur in here. You want to play up that mark all throughout the bear. You don't want to overkill it, but you want to compare to where some of those dark lines are in the white areas. You can see them in the dark areas too, but what I would say is make it more dense in the darker areas. Now, if you want to paint them in, with the marker, fill them in with the marker, then you can go right ahead and do that. The only thing is you're gonna have to come back with probably like your white watercolor pencil, and you can put marks back in there to bring that out. You see what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that. Maybe I'll take an area somewhere in here and do that little idea and to show that idea. You know what I mean? Even with see my palette that I got from Druid for the ink intense watercolors, they don't have a Chinese white in there or gouache in there. So I would use the acrylic at that point, or the watercolor, the white watercolor pencil. You see, and then now when you look back here, I take that edge right off. I know this in here is dark, and it comes all the way down into here, you see? So now I'm using that mark that I'm making up to show that density. So now I can show some of the movement of some of that fur. Like if you look in this area, there's a curving motion with the fur that shows what the bone structure and the muscle structure is doing underneath. You see where some of the fur is darkest, that's where a joint may be on the bear itself, you see. And now you can see, if you're looking at my rendition, you can see what I mean by putting them closer together to make this area seem darker. And then a more looser stroke inside the white areas to make you see that, because you can come back later. Like, look, even behind the bear over here, like instead of that pole being here, I would move it over if I want to put it in there. If not, now what I'm going to do is, okay, you see about, if we take that ear as a measurement and put another ear over top, that's where that real first divide is, and that cement in the background. And I would use that loose line and make it move a little bit, you see? And then now from that point here, that roughness is like a rooftop type of situation, it looks like, but it comes down. Now, mines I didn't put down into the white area, you see? I moved mines over a little bit. Now you can come back in here and make us believe these marks in here, because they're more random, to make it feel natural. So I would do the same thing. Just play with that mark back there. Make up a mark that looks vertical, just like that back there. That's what I would do. And I would look at the pattern or the harmony and movements and see how many lines is down here to formulate the underneath part that the bear is overlapping. And if you look at the screen, you can see how I got it started, you see. Now, you can see the shorthand too, because I got the basic space together. Now what's needed? Just to find out where this area is going to go, where we can see the front of all the decking, the horizontal decking that he's laying on. And then the lines that's going this way, you see. And then we have to show the darkness and lightnesses, but structurally speaking, formally speaking, everything is simply there now, you see. Now, if you want to be absolutely correct with what the background is doing, you can. You can count it across to see how many is there. Or you can do like how I'm doing, give a loose interpretation on what that background is saying to you, and then use those forces, those movements to make up a movement in the background that mimics that idea. You know, you can see how in mine, I pretty much zoomed in. My point of view is zoomed in on the bear. Now, if I look at overall movement that I'm not going to have because it's underneath here now, if you look at the photograph, is a support bracing. So from my point of view, you can see where I like, all right, we have this piece of wood that connects here. If we look up, I'm off already. So I can't really use the photograph on this level on, how would you say, preciseness. I'm using it for feeling now. So now I look across the top of here is where that first one is. You see that? And then now I'm seeing the roundness of the cut in the front. You see? So I would get that together. Now the next one comes out a little bit further. Now, if I look for the vertical alignment to the bear, I'm a little bit off, you see? So I'm just guesstimating once again and then using the pole itself. And that next one is just right here. And then now I will put the circle in the front of that one, or the elliptical cut, or the perception of an elliptical cut there. See what's starting to happen? Now I got to take it and carry this one across here past the ropes here. So notice how I still didn't worry about the detail of the rope just yet, the twine of each strand just yet. I'm still trying to get in all the structural stuff, you see? Because now look, that next one hits this one here, right in the middle. But then if we come up, it hits this one right around here. So now look, as I come across, yep. And then this one has a funny cut, like, because it's cut like it's forward. So try to mimic that cut movement. You see how I did that there? And just lean it. Don't worry about the perspective per se. You can come back and change some things up, even though it's marker. And then that's going to make it even more interesting, when you come back. And now I would loosely put some, round movements in there to make us believe the cut of the wood there. We still not there yet. Now we got to come up again. You see, and now, oh, well, hold on. Let's go back over here to this one. We got one that comes here, right at the top of this one, and then hits it right around here. So then now I can mimic that one. And that cut is more, how would you say, balanced of a cut. It's not an angular cut, you see? So just trying to show those small differences, you see, is giving some interest to the piece. Now the next one next to that one, yep, is just above that one. So now we can do a line like so here. You see, and now we have to follow these lines over here. Same way. But this is technically the deck that the panda bear is laying on. Because at a certain point, as we keep coming up, we're not going to have, any more to look at. Now this one, let's see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. This will be number 5. Yep. This 6th one is right around here, and it's doing a funny looking cut, like it was broke off or something. And that same movement halfway up on the last one to make you feel like it's going up. You see? Oh yeah, we got it. Now, if you want, you can just run this last one off right off the page if you want. That's what I would do. And then now, yeah, now I would come up and just start doing these lines straight across now. Because that one was kind of big, you see, and that one would be off the page. So then now I would follow this one over, right? And then now I would just start breaking them up and reducing the size of the space, the pica space, if you want to say it that way, if you're a digital person, in between each line. You see? So then as you go up the page, the lines get smaller or more decreased.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how it's starting to get that feel of him laying down on the deck, even on the one that I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. And there's a line here. And yeah, now we can crunch these lines closer together to crunch this space a little bit more. And now there you have it. I don't know. Now you can come back in and start showing us where knots are on certain ones. And see, like I would do a knot here to show the knot that's already there, and then some lines that go around it. You see, just to get that started to make us feel like it's wood. So that beyond a shot of a doubt, when your audience looks, they go, oh yeah, that's wood. That's some type of deck. You know what I mean? That's what you want them to say. It's some type of deck that thing is on. Is that a panda bear? Like, yeah, if you can see it in this stage, like I can see mine's already saying panda bear. So, you know what I mean? I'm happy. It's saying panda bear, it's saying bear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not saying dog. At first, it was starting to look like a lion. You know what I mean? Or a lioness. But you know, when we got the ears in there and you put that positioning in there, you see that's panda all day right there. And if yours is looking and feeling the same way, everybody, you say that says panda all day. Don't care what you say.
All day long.
Yeah, buddy. And look at that. It's already 11 o'clock. So it don't matter if I talk and write. It still goes the same way, Nadine. You see, that's all I wanted to prove, you know what I mean, to the young lady that said that. Yeah, I'm calling you out without calling your name, you know what I mean?
Hey, Don, your words are music. So we don't
Yeah,
have any background music.
yep.
We have words.
That's it, words. Words, metaphors, and intonations. Yeah. Thingamajiggy and
Your
all of that
words
good
are
stuff.
music.
You're too funny. But now everybody, you can get into making the rope texture now, you see? You know, and then look at what the rope is doing. It's like a twine, you know? And if you make these lines in that diagonal way, it'll have that feeling of being rope, you know? That curvilinear movement that's slanted, it's horizontal. If you look at the photograph, you can see that shape there. And then now it has another one I just saw now that's darker that goes this way. So then this way, I would make this one, the lines closer together to give the perception of darkness on the side. You see that? Yeah. So then now all we do now is just keep on showing the rope idea. You know, how is that rope bound together? But we already got the area where the rope exists. That's why I do that, everybody. So as a suggestion, maybe you should try that too as well. And then you can come back and describe the surface of that item, you know, because you want your audience to be able to say what it is based upon the mark making that you make. You know, and once you make it real effective or come close to comparison to what visually the photograph is doing, then nobody's going to say that that's not rope.
Mm-hmm.
They may say they don't like my rope. They may say that my rope is not exact to the photograph. I'm fine with that, long as they said rope.
Don, your rope is whacked.
Oh man, that's okay, Nadine. I was thinking bubble gum.
Bubblegum.
You see, you know, don't let it bother you, everybody. It's not, you know. You know, as long as she said rope in her lead in, I'm okay.
Right.
If they said anything else, snake, anything else
Your
in
rope,
the
your rope
description,
is whacked.
there it is. I'll take that all day. And then some people be like, well, how come you're not upset? Because in your lead-in to describe that to me, you said what it was.
Right.
You know, you just said you didn't like my rendition. Okay, fine. That's what it is. You as human being, you're allowed to not like somebody's rendition. That's what you got Second Amendments for, right?
Right. Well,
All righty
hope
then.
we can keep it.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
It's not
yeah.
looking too good.
No, it isn't. You know what I mean? So that's why I understand when you were talking about the AI, that whole experience is in there too as well. With that right. So I tell everybody keep creating while you can, man. You know, where there is no issues and have fun, express yourself.
Express
You
yourself.
Yeah, put some lines in there. Not all of mine is looking like rope. I just started throwing lines in there now just to go with it, just to go with what that young lady said, Don, talk and do at the same time. All right. Well, just know a lot of times when you do that, you do lose a lot in interpretation
Yes.
because that's a technique that you use when you're going, live. Like I do a lot of things live in terminals and on street corners and things like that. Everybody just to test audiences out. Some of us don't have that confidence to do that, but when you do have the confidence to do it, what you realize is that you're working in a shorthand to get the audience to react in a quick amount of time. You see, you're not in your private space. So then this way, you have to have marks that you can go to that once you apply them, it's going to get the reaction out of the audience that you need.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so understanding your vertical marks and things like this, and when to put a curved mark to make up things is very important. You know what I mean? Like, watch how I come in here while we talking and then make you believe this background. And I'm just using the random movement that I'm seeing in the background, to say what these edges are doing. And that's what an expressionist or impressionist would do, because you're moving with haste. So since I'm moving with haste, I don't want to jump all around the place all the time because I just was here. Now I'm jumping up here. A real good movement would have been if I start here, everybody, right? And then I start working my way this way and then come around and then back down. Because then everything will start moving at a certain, level, and everything will work together as one. Yeah.
Working together as one.
You see, now look, I'll do that. Like, all right, I was here. I'm going to come here and put that board that's touching his forehead, or what we're going to call his forehead, for lack of the scientific term. And that's where that wood is, if you look, you see.
Uh-huh.
So then now once you got the placement of all the hard, forms that you're going to use, then this is where you start, going in. So now I was just here, right? I don't want to get too descriptive there just yet. So I'm going to knock out some more of this. You see, knock out some more of this. Make it connect here and go down past that point. Then come up here and then establish more of these rugged darks that's inside here. You see, and work my way up and down using that same rhythm of it looking like it's like the side or some type of roofing. You see what I'm saying? How that looks, or it's mimicking the density of bamboo, to try to make the bear feel more comfortable in this environment, like it's like a mountain or something. And I don't know how effective that is for the animals, you know what I mean? But seems like they're cool with it as long as they keep eating and things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a big old dog. Yeah, that's what some of the handlers compare it to. It's like having a big dog, You know. Yeah. Yeah. What you think, Nadine? How's yours going so
It's
far?
going.
It's going.
It's going.
So then look, oh, look. See, like you see, like in the upper left-hand corner of the photograph, you see some leaves there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bamboo leaves are normally long and thin like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just put a couple up there, you know what I mean? Just to make it so. Maybe even use that as a theme going across
Oh
here.
yeah.
You see, to bring more life to it. Like, because if it's there, then that means that there's a possibility for it to have, if you wasn't focused entirely on the bear like you was, that maybe it's more up there. See what I'm saying, Nadine? So you did
There's
a
definitely
natural,
more. There's
right. So you did a natural crop because you was loving the bear and
right.
the way he was relaxing. You see, so then now this is where we can add things into a photograph that we can just assume that's there.
Right.
So I'm just going to put a couple of more of what I'm saying bamboo leaves are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to put them symmetrical, you know what I mean, in a balanced way. I
Mm-hmm.
want to put them more random, maybe in groups of twos and threes, real loose, you see, to make it feel like, you know, I was absolutely there and I was moving with haste to get this scene before we had to move on. You see, and this is what a lot of artists do as well too, everybody. Like sometimes you work from photographs, then your mission is still to make people believe that you was on location.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way they don't know is if they was there with us or with Nadine.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so see how I just fabricated just then? Because I wasn't in China with Nadine to go check this out, you know. But I said we, you see. But now my we means here.
Sorry, folks. I can't get to it fast enough.
You know?
Sorry, I apologize, everyone.
Yeah, everybody, I'm sorry for talking art, you guys, man.
Yeah, I'm
You
sorry, I
see,
didn't silence my phone.
you know? So you see how we went here, then I went here. Let me take it a little bit further here, just to finish out these movements here. And then one underneath the leaves, since we were talking about those leaves there. You see, and notice I didn't put a whole bunch there. I didn't go crazy, you know what I mean? And just fill the whole top of the page with bamboo leaves coming down, even though that may be the case up there. But the way the photograph is describing it, I like that looseness of just a couple coming here and there. And not really symmetrical, maybe being twos and threes, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, there I go. I like that randomness there on mine. And now you would just keep going around. Now I'm in this area. Maybe I'll leave this area the way it is until I start filling in with the color elements. Now I come back down and make the edge of the bear a little bit more. You see, put some more marks up there, you know, darker marks, you know, or I don't want to just say darker. Let's just say a little bit more reassuring lines now, because I'm not worried about the placement of the bear anymore. So you see how we worked it, everybody? I went here, we went over through here, I got here, then I went here, now back down. That's that process or that circular motion that you hear a lot of art teachers or professors or artists when they're doing things live, you know, talking about that type of movement, that circular movement that you do to get things to go. They also call it your passages. So how many passages does it take for you to get things to go? Like, look, now I start getting down here and showing some more like there's some darknesses in here that I would do just with pure line to go around the round parts to show that roughness. You see, any opportunity to show roughness or jaggedness or differences in surfaces and edges, I
Mhm.
like to take advantage of. And most artists do. The more descriptive you are with your mark making, the more your audience can get into it. They can explore. You can control your audience that way. So if you hear artists talking about how does an artist control their viewing audience or the roving eye of the audience is
Mhm.
by controlling the hatchwork of your mark making. You see, because you almost can see that circular motion going around almost.
Mhm.
You go here, then you go into here. You see, if the person's eye get caught down here, then it starts in here, it can go here, here, or if it goes this way, you see, then the leaves knocks the eye back down. Then these edges, keep the eye occupied when it comes back around this way. Either which way you look at that point. But then now what you're working on, like say for instance, this is the dark area here. So then I'll make most of these marks more denser, more close together to make it feel like it's the shadow, or that this paw is darker because it's back and underneath. So I will put most of my marks closer together in that area. You see? And then now right there, I'll leave just a little bit of a lightness there and a sketchy, line, because now right after that, this is where this area gets darker. So now I would pull out the bigger marker now, and then now I would come in here with lines like this, you see, a bigger, fatter line to show how shadows are in certain areas. You see, and if you look in that area right next to the paw, you see an area like this underneath that wood that clearly shows like it's like a separation in between the two. You see that, Nadine?
Yes.
And that's all you would do with your bigger marker. If you wanted to do it for the other area that's right next to the nose, turn it on as chisel like how I'm doing with this particular Sharpie, and then use the fatter line. You see? I like using the whimsical, line that every now and then runs down or up, you know what I mean? Look at that, everybody, you see? So then now I would come back with the regular standard, Sharpie size, right? And yeah, keep your bag of markers next to you. I still got that glass thing, but see, I got all my markers next to me. So, you keep them on your little table, and I'll show the table in a little while. It is 11:25. Look how fast time went, Nadine.
It always goes by fast. I don't know.
Yeah, man. So then look, everybody, we in those areas now, watch, look. Now I can come back and make this line, and notice how if I use the full tip of this marker, it still is not as fat as the last marker that I used. And then you still can use it as a sketchy line to show some different textures in there. So then that's where I would leave the lines further apart to show light areas in the wood. You see that? And then now I would show, possibly show that knot there, and then show a couple of lines here, because the top of that wood is lighter, you see? So that's how I would show that. Even in the other piece of wood, I would put some lines here, you see, to make that roundness come to life. So then now I can go back into the darker area that I did with the bigger marker and fine tune some of that movement in there. You see, and that movement is there. Oh yeah, I like that. It's feeling like a real bamboo type of encampment for the bear. You see? And now you can be as random as you want, everybody, or you can be true to life or realist as you want. Because now you know the difference between being a realist and a photorealist. A realist is like, an expressionist or impressionist. You're just trying to grab the most essential things or items of the moment to bring description to your work, to bring attraction to the work. You know what I mean? This is where you can blow up certain areas, and then possibly come back. And I know we don't talk about using this one a whole bunch, but even in the bear, I would come back with the micro marker, 0.05 or 0.08 is what I use. I like using the 0.08s to tell you the truth. And that 0.08, I think it's millimeter. I'm not sure, but it's the measurement of the thickness of the micro part of the line. So 0.08 is a nice pixel. You know what I mean? So then I would come in here and like say around the nose. put some more of those lines in. And with the smaller one, you can make most of your lines be even more descriptive in certain areas, you see? What I just did, so then hold on. Let me blow up the photograph on my laptop so then you really can see. So that's what I would say to everybody. Oh yeah, you really can see that in there. So now if I was to blow up, hold on a second, let's come over here. What you think? Hold off the color until next week, Nadine, or
Yes,
rush right into it?
I definitely do think so.
Okay, we'll hold off on the color, everybody. I won't rush it. All right. Got it. I had to do that on the other one. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to zoom in to so you can see some of the marks that I'm doing on the piece itself with the micro marker. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Give me more. Yes, come on, give me a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, that's pretty close there. What you think? I think I'm at the max for my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're in. That's the closest I can get, everybody. Now that I move the position of the camera, so don't want to do that. We'll leave it there. I think that's pretty good for our close-up detail idea. So then now, if you look at the photograph, everybody, you'll see in the eye, you have certain little descriptive areas in there where the eye is curving. So I would take advantage of that. And then that'll make the eye seem like it's closed even more and give it some naturalistic feel. You see that in there?
Mm-hmm.
There was one or two little lines that I put in, like there's a crease that's here. You see, oh yeah, yep. Now that's making mine's on camera look like he's even more so closing his eyes. Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah. See the beauty of these micro markers, everybody?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see now he really looks like he's closing his eye. So now you can see if you didn't know everybody, like if you one of the artists that's out there that, you guys do this all the time, especially my graffiti artists, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not trying to show you guys nothing new. We're just trying to say, hey, invest some more time in doing these small type of drawings or, why not come on over and check us out and hang out and do a quick hour and a half, 2 hour drawing. You know what I mean? It may help you just to relax on your day on a Sunday. Because we're not trying to show nothing new. We're trying to show those others that have issues with calming down or anxiety and stuff like that with our art and with our moments, But everybody is here to do what? To create.
To create.
Yeah, buddy. You see how
Yes.
I'm putting that light line in there? Like even in the dark areas, you have certain shadows. So that's why I didn't just fill it in like how you would do if you were doing a caricature,
Uh-huh.
like make it real dark and stuff. And no, I want to come back and take advantage of, how would you say, gradually making that dark to make it seem more real.
Mm-hmm.
You see, like in the nose here, you have a nostril here, you see, and I can come back with this. And then, just like I said, it's just like a dog's nostril almost, the same type of setup. And as soon as you start putting it in, like there's a crease in the middle of the nostril here. So I wouldn't paint it or fill it in all black from the gate like that, like the tendency is to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to, show some values within that darkness on the muzzle of the bear. You see, if you zoom in, you can see some of the movements of the fur, how the fur is going downward. So then now you can use that movement of mark making lines to make us believe that that fur is really there even more so than what you previously had. Just by looking at the photo, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Most of this fur, you can put a couple of notations where it's moving this way. But see, the whole thing is in the dark patched area, you can't, in the white areas, you can't put a whole lot of marks there. You just got to put a little bit of marks there. to get to the darker areas, because you want that darker area to resonate. You see, and then you're going to want those colors to resonate in there, those different tones. So what I'm doing is filling it in with a bunch of lines. So I know that's the black area is what we're perceiving as black, you see? Even with the marker here, the micro marker in some of the lighter areas of the ears, I put some extra lines in there with the micro marker to help with the difference between the dark and light fur. And seeing if you look on screen, you can tell the difference there. You see, even in the ear back here, I would do the same thing, but I wouldn't put it on the tip, so the tip of the ear can still say light. You see, put a couple of reinforcing lines up there just to make us believe that that furry ear is still there. You see? Yeah. You know, you can even come in and reinforce some of the movements underneath the eye in the white areas. Now you can see how that fur curves a little bit. So you can put some extra lines in there with the smaller marker in the white areas, you see. You know, before you get to the ear, there's areas around here. So you don't want to put a lot of marks in there now. You don't want to confuse the darkness of the ear with the mark making of showing the roughness of the fur. You know what I mean? So look at the patterns and the movements in the fur where some of that darkness is. You see, and now you can reinforce that line in those areas. Because now that's a connection, but the fur from here down is the black fur of the paw or the foot panel. So now in those areas, I can put more lines denser and smaller together, and then let some of those light spots show through, you see? That's all it is, you know what I mean? That's all it is. I'm gonna look up in here, and there's some areas in here, and I just put a couple of light marks with this movement of the micro marker, the 0.08. Now, the reason why I'm using the 0.08 again is because if you look at the 0.08 micro marker and then the Sharpie, the main regular Sharpie fine point, if you look at both marks on the surface, before you wear out this Sharpie, the lines are pretty much close to working together, because this line, you can go from thin to thick like how we was doing, and that micro marker fits right with it, you see? Even if I put a dash there, it doesn't look totally outrageous like how we use the bigger marker here, you see? So I like talking about things like that, so you can use the differences in the markers to help you with the density of values in your piece, you know? Yeah, just go in there and put a couple here and there for the white areas where you see the darknesses clumping together to show a white, you know, a shadow in the white areas, you see? And if you look at the screen on how I'm doing it, I'm just looking and mimicking the movement of the fur, and then how would you say, putting a mark in those areas. So then when you look, you're either going to say, yeah, that's that bear, or you're going to say, yeah, I see how he used that picture as a template. Either which way, I would be happy with their, you know, explanation of what it is that I do. You know what I mean? Even more so, I'm enjoying my own explanation. You see, and so that's what you have to do first. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy your ups and downs in the pieces. Everything going to work out? No, probably not. But work it as much as you can to get us to believe as much as we can. See?
Yep, because it's all about the experience.
There it is, or the journey, rather. Yeah, the journey and the experience. You see? Now you can move the photo around. You see? Zoom in on certain areas. This is what I'm doing. And now I move the photograph, enlarge it, and now I'm pretty much looking at this side, this area right here, to get the fur together. You see, and I'm looking at the darks now and making a mark that mimics those darks. And you notice up in this area in here, it's not that many darks in here. This is where the fur gets real light in here, which lets you know that's the top of the creature. Because you notice where right in here in these areas here is where the back of the jaw is, you see, right around where the ear is. They got fluffy fur. So if you, I think those in the Philadelphia Zoo have pandas.
I think they returned it.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. Somebody leave a message in a comment section if you remember whether the panda was returned.
All right, because I know they still have the gorillas there, man. The apes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are fun to draw and paint too as well. You see? And the more and more you touch it, you go around, the more and more, you're able to make marks that are more competent to make us feel. Look at the harmonies of the movements of the fur and the density of the fur. Look at the direction of the movement. It's not a flat surface, so I would suggest looking at the darks. And if you do that, you can really see some things. And you see, where's the darkness is in the belly here. So I would put a couple of marks here and there because this is all the white area now. The more denser area is going to be right at the bottom here, but we can't make it more dense than the dark areas of the paw. You know what I mean? And that striping here. So I would put extra lines in here to show the curve movement in certain areas. Not on the edge, though, inside where the fur is. Just a couple of curved lines to show that movement. You see, and then your human eye, when it looks, is going to want to say, wow, that's round. This head is real fluffy. You see, these are some of the comments you're looking for to get out of your audience. You see, oh, I really believe the texture of the fluffiness of that panda bear. Or you want them to go, oh, look at the panda bear.
Look at the panda.
Yep, that's what you want them to do. Yep, like, oh, even though we may not be sure, we want them to feel like, oh, did you actually go to the zoo to draw this one?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll leave it up to you. You know what I mean? Either you went with Nadine to China to go see this,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, you went to the one of the zoos in the northeastern region, Mid-Atlantic region, whether it be Philadelphia, New York, the Bronx Zoo. You know what I mean? Things like this. Is there a zoo in Maryland? Yeah. Is there one there in Maryland? You know what I mean? How about the aquarium? Is it one there? You know what I mean? Oh no, that's a polar bear, Don. Dun, 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 dun. So you see. And then think about this, everybody. A panda bear is truly, truly a vegan.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it
Big,
doesn't, yep. It
big
doesn't
and
eat,
vegan.
yep, it doesn't, it's not a herbivore, it's a herbivore, but it's not eating any meat whatsoever like a polar bear does. A polar bear
Mm-hmm.
eats meat. That's all that's out there in the cold, in the ice. He gets out there and what's that polar bear gonna do? He's gonna hunt down. So yeah, they look cute too because of the Coca-Cola and all of that, but no, ain't nothing cute about no polar bear, man.
Don't get it twisted.
No, man, if you get stranded out there somewhere and you see a polar bear, you should be very nervous.
I don't know if you should run or
No,
back
don't
away.
run. Well, if you run, I mean, you have no choice but to try to get away. That's what you're going to try to do. But these things can smell and they're relentless and persistent.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll keep coming. You'll look out there and you'll see them drop down in the water and you see their head get closer to you. Oh my God. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Right.
So if you want to see some of those things, go online, go on YouTube and put in polar bear attacks.
Mm.
And you'll really see some footage of the guys that do the pictures for National Geographic and all this good stuff. How sometimes they got, caught up in the hunting aspect of the polar bear.
And forgot about they were food.
Exactly. Even the grizzly bear, the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, they yeah, they eat flesh. You know what I mean? That's why we like seeing them eat salmon and all this good stuff, and it seems very cute. But if you look at some of the footage, and if you was out there, you would say differently. No, I
Hmm.
don't want to be out there when they're feeding. It may look cute on camera, but these jokers are serious. They're in a frenzy until they get full. Then when they get full, then they may sit around you because there's a couple of footages on YouTube of when after these bears, fed and everything, then that's when they was real comfortable for humans to be around because, I'm full. I had my take. I had 500 pounds worth of fresh salmon, you know what I mean, on my belly. Sure, I'm going to be calmer then. I'm not going to worry about you then, not unless you look like you're going to be a threat to my cubs or something. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
And that's a different story.
Yeah, you don't want to be around them in those situations. Even in our mid-Atlantic region, if you go to certain areas that they can get to in the suburban regions of our area, you know what I mean? The Upper Darby areas, your South Jersey areas, you're gonna see deer, and you may see a black bear every now and then. They're in our area.
Hmm.
Don't think they're not in our area in the
They
Mid-Atlantic
are in
region,
our area.
everybody. They're in our area, but because of all the noises and things and all the things we have in our densely populated areas, they don't make it there to those areas. So if you look at some of the outskirts like Pottstown, you know what I mean, the outskirts going towards Pemberton, Browns Mills, Shore Points at that point, New Egypt in New Jersey going that way, Pottstown, Harrisburg going that way, Levittown out that way,
Hmm.
going towards the Eries at that point. You're going to have these areas where you have a lot of, you know what I mean, wooded areas, large lakes, especially on the Pennsylvania Turnpike going towards the I think that's a Secaucus River. Which
Oh,
river is that up there when you're going towards Harrisburg?
Harrisburg.
Yeah, it's like you're taking
Is
the
that the Conestoga River?
I think so. It's the big one. Like when you come up on it, it feels like you're at the Chesapeake Bay almost. And you're going to Harrisburg and everything and out that way, York, PA. It's right outside of Pottstown. And then you have this bridge that goes and it's a big old lake. But most of you that have taken that trip by car, give us a shout out and let us know, or let me know or whatever, if Nadine and I was on point with that name of that particular water mass
Hmm.
before you get to Harrisburg on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. You see? So if you notice with me touching and touching and touching and doing these loose strokes, I hope that you're feeling on my version that you're feeling that density of fur there, you know, and that's what it's going to take even on your version, everybody, Nadine,
Hmm.
a whole bunch of accumulation of marks before we get to filling in with the graphite and everything, and then you start making up certain scrumbling marks, that are pretty much make us believe the frenzy of the fur, the fluffiness of the fur. You see, yeah, you're seeing it while I'm talking because I had to look at the screen. Sometimes I really like to talk, everybody.
Yeah.
But excuse us for
We're
talking the
talking
art,
art.
man. Yeah, man.
It's so important.
Uh-huh. Uh-oh, hold on. I messed around. All right, there we go. All right, and now,
What you
oh
doing?
boy. Well, what happens is I when I blow it up, I get
Hmm.
too close to the arrow and it
Okay.
switches to the next photo.
Oh.
So we don't want that. So then now what I do is I'll let the photograph take up the whole screen and
Hmm.
then you blow it up and you get better control then. Yeah, you see, like even in the white areas, it seems white at a distance, but it's really like this fuzzy creamish color that
Hmm.
appears white at the distance. But if you look within it, you can see all these beautiful darks that's in certain areas that you can mimic lightly with the marker here. And I know you guys are looking at my rendition while I'm doing it live. And then notice how I'm doing those little marks with the marker. You see, in the white areas, and trying to mimic that movement, that surface movement of what the darks are telling you. And notice when we get to the top, that's where the least of them are in these areas here. That lets you know that he's laying on his side, and then his belly is, right around here. And then that's where it gets a lot lighter in there. In these areas in here, that's that dark mass of fur that goes around the back of the arms to connect each arm together. And that's the way the patch of fur is. Maybe that's a defensive thing. I don't know. A lot of people don't know what that pattern is for. Is it for, I would say, camouflage when they're in their natural habitat?
In the snow?
I don't know. And then they're in the mountains, right, with the bamboo and the snow. So, maybe that's it. That it helps with the camouflage in the snow and their terrain and the forest that they're in on the hills. So I believe they're a hill creature, right? They're not a flatland creature, right?
I don't think they're a flatland creature
Right.
because they'll go in the trees.
Right. So I think they're mountainside, creatures at that point. Gorillas do the same thing. They're on the mountainside. I think the chimps are the flatland ones, right? So then now you have the black bear and everything that can go from mountain. Kodak grizzly, they go from mountain to flat plains. These are all the things you should investigate when you're doing an animal. What are some tidbits you can get to know about the animal? Just in case you have situations where, it might be a game you're playing where they have those, what's those games where they have those type of questions like that, and then you're trying to guess what that is, and why that is. Why do panda bears
Why do
have, yeah,
Jeopardy?
yeah, there you go, that type of thing, yeah. So you're trying to figure out the why, and then you'll have somebody that, they'll have the information from the Animal Channel or something that says why that's, you know what I mean? Trivia questions and stuff like that, or even for conversation, you know what I mean? You may want to, be very, you know what I mean? How would you say conversational at that point? So knowing certain tidbits and trivia about certain things help you to become a conversationalist, I don't know where you would place the trivia of a panda bear, but I'm sure you would figure out how to utilize that information in the conversation to bring more light to you. I mean, what else is that information for if you're not directly in that field of dealing with animals and, animal protection and all that good stuff, you know what I mean? And the more and more I touch it, you see how that bear starts to come to life on my rendition. And then now you would apply that all throughout the piece in every area, like I would come down here in the wood. Now I would put extra striations in places to play up the texture of the wood. Maybe look at some of the dark areas in the wood and try to add extra marks with this micro marker in between them. You see, because the more densely I work with the micro marker, it's like working with a thin stylus. You can put smaller agitations in places to build up the illusion of darkness or texture, make us believe something is rounder than what it is, make us believe something is more ragged and rigid, than what it is. You see, and all I did was blow up. Now that I got everything in there, you can go to certain sections now, blow up that area, and then take your time and utilize it. Like, okay, in this area in here, if you blow it up, everybody, you see you have marks like this in this area. And then now everything in here is like, it's almost like it's splintering away in here. That's not the tree bark. That's the cut in here on how the wood is ragged. You see? maybe the bear has gnawed on that, you know what I mean? But either which way, if you look in there, it has movements like so to get to that round area that's in here. And now I'm just mimicking what that's doing. And now I got that impression of what that is. See how we use that idea of impressionism,
Mhm.
fleeting moment, make up marks that make us believe that something is there, you know, make up marks to make us believe that it's a realist idea. That's another, genre or art movement that was there, realist. And that's what a realist movement was. It wasn't absolute, like, oh, I have to, but it had to be identifiable. And now you could, how would you say, take liberty to stretch areas and stuff. Del Greco and all these guys that would stretch areas and things and put different little striations, exaggerate striated area. Titian would do it. Rubens would do it. And that's where all the other artists that we enjoy, like the Impressionists, borrowed from the previous set of artists to be able to come up with their equations. And, we still can do that. You know? And if you notice how I'm talking and I'm moving, we got those marks in the tree. So hopefully you're seeing how those marks came to life too as well. Let me see. Let me go back to the laptop here and look. Yeah, we got all those marks in there, everybody. Still there, Nadine?
Oh yeah.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. And now you see all those little marks that I accumulated there, all in here, everybody. You're starting to see. And as you accumulate them, you can see the difference between the dark fur and the white fur. You see that?
Yeah.
Soon, like over in this area here, when I enlarge it, you start to see the differences between the wood and the fur. You see it here in this close-up of the stump here. You see of the deck. If I was to move this down and over to the edge here, you see, and move it down a little bit more. Now you can see the rope. So now what I'm going to do is I'm on the close up on the rope with the few minutes that we got left while we're talking. And then just, how would you say, looking in the darker areas and then putting some extra motion and movement to show the fiber of the rope with the micro marker. So I'm teasing each area with marks, you see, of edges or mimicking of edges. You see, and then once you get it in there, it'll start to really feel like rope even more because you're giving the eye more to feast on. You're giving the eye more to ponder about, you see, and it doesn't take much. So that's why they used to have this real big argument between the Pusanese and the Rubenesque. The Rubenesque was the color people, meaning not color and pigmentation of your body, meaning color, like as in colorist, believing that color was absolutely the everything when it came down to doing art. It was the be all, win all, be all. But then hold on, the Pusanese or the Pausanese, I might be enunciating it wrong, excuse me, everybody. But the Pusanists or Pusans, you know what I mean, followed the whole drawing and draftsmanship idea, that edge, line, mark, accumulation of these things were more important than just color. And that was an argument that went on, but it's an argument that's still around here and there, but not really in our era, because we all know you can either go this way or you can go full color if you want to. Then you can go objective, like how we're doing, or you can go what? Subjective, and then just deal with the abstract elements of what the fur is or what the roughness is or the form of it, strong horizontal, chopped up verticals, and then you can make marks just like that, real simple. And now you would have an abstract or a figurative abstraction of this piece. You see? Yeah. So then let's go a little bit more. Like if you look in the stump here, you have even more lines that you can put that's showing that fraying of the bark down there. You see, because obviously the tree bark was still on these pieces and they left them on. Probably for like a big old chew stick for the polar bear when they get bored or have anxiety or something, you know, which all in captive animals do have. They'll have anxieties of some sort and have to work it out. You know, we call it working out your boredom as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
The animal, we look at them and say, oh, he's going through anxiety. He's gnawing that tree until his gums bleed. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah, and now we're just mimicking where some of the darks are in there that we can follow. Maybe using some dashed curve lines to make us feel the roundness of the tree, you see? And all it takes is a couple here and there. It doesn't take a lot, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You see the work in pure line. See, so the marker is the next step after the brush and the crow quill or the pen nib. You see, because that's why these were made. They were markers, and these type of markers were made so that you still can have the advantage of making a pure line drawing or mark. You see what I'm saying? Without having to say it's color or to mimic pen work. Because now when you take this and you make a copy of it, the only way that you can tell the difference between this mark and a crow quill mark is by how it's left on the surface. You know, the marker line is a little bit more continuous, whereas the crow quill line is more choppy. It's a more choppy of a stroke, not unless you have a flow pen. You know, and that's why you see why some of the early cartoonists and illustrators use flow pens. And now you see why a lot of artists that are caricature artists of our day, use Sharpie markers a lot to get their permanent lines in. You see? So now down here in these areas in the wood, I would play up certain areas. So then now I can go darker on that line to show the separation between the wood and the rope here. You see? And now I can use a couple of cumulative lines of the regular Sharpie. You notice how that makes a distinction. It feels like we're looking at this one to get over that one, to get here, to look over these, to get to each one of these. Now the whole task is to make us believe all this wood down here. Now this is where you come in and you start, how would you say, being a little bit more descriptive on your edges, showing us where light spots are and where the accumulation of horizontal lines are, and how then those lines widen to show us the light areas, you see? So if I keep lines together, that means that it's darker. You see what I mean? Further away, possibly. And then when I open up the lines, you notice that it seems like it's lighter now, or it's moving around. You see the illusion of roundness is there. Your mind, you want to put certain marks in, everybody, that's going to help your piece fool your audience. You know, because if you look at them, even though we're not done, you can look at some of the marks that I put in, and now you're seeing how that fur feels like it's rounding. It almost feels like that bear is slumping against this piece of wood, these two pieces of wood here. The only thing I'm having a hard time with until we start coloring in is that stone wall that's back there. It looks like it's right up on him. You know, that's the part that's bothering me. But I would work that out sooner or later with a couple of marks, you know. You know, so obviously next week, everybody, we'll be trying to take this, or we'll be taking this to a finish. I would say if you are going to go further, try to hold off on the color, everybody, and then just work on for next week, adding in more of these descriptive lines, as we call them, or descriptive edges, or descriptive marks, as we're going to call them, you know, or come up with your own term to say what those marks are. Just know that you have to accumulate marks, which are interpreting edges.
Mm.
So we're calling those edges, we're looking out, calling those edges either, horizontal, diagonal, vertical, or curve, in any combination in between.
Mm-hmm.
Dot, hash, check, minus. These are your dash type of motions and movements. And the more you familiarize yourself with these type of motions and then go in with an idea of just looking for the shadows or the dark and lights of the situation, after you get your formal idea in or after you draft out where things are going to be. Trying to say it as in many terms as we can so people can feel comfortable with understanding, all the way from, the artist that reads a lot, all the way down to the layman thingamajiggy novice, we want to say. So this thingamajiggy pole right here would be the tie down pole of the deck, the major support. The other support would be on the knee. So I'm not worried about showing it per se. I may show it based upon dark and light movements. Be a Rubinist at that point. Whereas in these areas with the mark making, I'm being more of a Poussin or a Poussinist, using different mark makings to make you believe round, flat, fluffy, and things like this,
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to do with these marks make you see like the difference between fur and wood? What are the marks that you have to borrow from the photograph to make us believe wood?
Mm-hmm.
What are the marks you're going to have to borrow to make us believe the fur? What are the marks you're going to have to borrow or the edges you're going to have to observe to make us believe this makeshift background that was all a stone embankment? You know, how are you going to make us believe that these marks here are the bamboo leaves coming down, almost like a shadow area, to make the panda bear believe that he's in an enclosed bamboo forest? You see, I laugh sometimes because, like, how is they going to fool, or is the panda really fooled when they see this deck? Because do they see a deck in nature?
Yeah.
Like, these are small things that I think about when I'm looking at stuff like this, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just ponderances. Like, you're looking like there is no decks and bridges in that way in nature. I wonder if the bear is just saying, okay, I don't see that where I came from, but I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to lay on it.
It's funny.
Doesn't seem like it's going to harm me any. I just lay on it. I don't know what it is, though. It doesn't look like nothing I came from.
Or does he look at it and say, "Oh, this looks comfortable"?
Yeah, what is the thought of the panda when it comes down to even the lions and all the other, like you see monkeys and apes and gorillas in
Mm-hmm.
these enclosures. And it's like you want to ask yourself, like, if they could really talk, like, hey man, do you really believe this place that you're in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because where you come from, you can get to the human being.
Right.
you
I
know?
can you imagine if they turned around and said, this is all an illusion?
Oh man, that would mess up everybody. The first one of them that were able to talk like that and say, hey guys, come on. Just go outside, give me some bananas. It's okay. I'm not gonna attack you. This is all an illusion anyway. You know it, right? Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like it's a comic set or something. Yeah, you
Right.
know it's all an illusion, right?
It's all an illusion.
I'm choosing not to talk to you guys, even though I understand what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Even like, wake up, man.
Yeah. Like they got some clips of an orangutan giving humans pointers on how to stick candy and stuff through the top of the glass of the embankment because they're sticking pieces of wood, small twigs through there and pointing toward it, like, yeah, put it through there, put it through there. That tells you how brilliant an orangutan, apes, and all these creatures are. Like, are they really, really worried about the embankment? Or are they figuring out ways to just chill with it? Because that was amazing when I saw that on a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Go there and put in orangutan asking for snacks. or snacks and animals in the zoo. And you're going to see some amazing, amazing footage of how these animals, it'll make you question, are they holding back talking? Because they're doing things that'll make you think, okay, especially the gorillas, because the way they look at you, their expressions.
Yeah.
So they're looking at you like, and it's almost human, like, man, I feel how you feel, man. You know what I mean? And he's sitting there and the gorilla's looking and he may flag his arms, roll his lips, and you're like, is this like, wait a
Is this
minute.
really happening?
Right. And then you're looking and all of a sudden you almost can feel what this creature is thinking.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. It's funny too, man. Because I like going to the zoo a lot sometimes and doing sketches in the zoo. So if you ever want to have fun, everybody, go on over to your local zoo. Here in the Delaware Valley is the Philadelphia Zoo. Even going to some petting zoos, they got horses where along the Lincoln and the Kelly Drive, where you have the black cowboy and the black buffalo soldier corrals there. I believe they're still there. You can go and draw those horses, and animals. You got a lot of different places where you can go and draw animals. Even the horses for the police force. You can get permission to come on over where they house them at and draw them too as well.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they like that type because it helps with that type of interaction. And also they'll let you know if the horses are agitated, they won't let you in, because the horses have to have seclusion too as well for them to de-escalate off of their interactions during the day too as well. Yeah, where they can de-escalate off of their anxieties and things like this. You know what I mean? From sounds, spaces, places, different smells. And we as humans, we may not be thinking that's going on, but it's going on. It's going on.
Think how we deal with traffic. How does a horse deal mentally with traffic?
Woo, man. Man, that'll be a serious conversation if you could talk with him, right?
Yeah.
The horse will look at you and be like, the ignorance of some of you beings. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Some of you are non-observant. You care about that more. I even had to, bump some of your cars. Like I seen police horses bump cars. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, everybody. But look at all these small agitations that's going down. And now after a certain point, that's what you're doing if you want to take that type of time on the piece to bring certain things to life. Other than that, what you could do is you can technically stop here and start filling in. But me, myself, I like going into more mark making and talking about mark making. So that's why I do little marks and more agitations, because these type of things help you with your brushwork when you're painting. You see, so say for instance, you're painting with your palette knife. You're painting with a bristle brush, a bright bristle brush. Not bright meaning in color, but bright meaning in the short stubble hairs that's coming out that you're using to paint with, so you can get these chunky, thick strokes. Then with doing drawings like this, it helps you with understanding mark movement. And then now you can use your palette knife to make certain movements, like how you see my hand doing, to make us believe roundness and stuff. It makes you more inventive with the brush or with any utensil in your hand to give more description to some of your pieces. And that's what you're looking for, everybody. You're looking for how you can make your piece a little bit more exciting to the human eye than the next person, in order to garner their attention to look at your piece. Why else is there a museum there? That's the sole reason why it's there. You see? Then you add some of these curve motions or choppy little hash motions. Why? To make us believe the curvilinear, the curve aspect even more. To push that idea of a curve even more. And the more you do it, the more you look, you can see even more and more things you can grab. Now, this is when each piece starts to, how would you say, talk to you. Because imagine using some of the mark making ideas that we learned or from the tree that we did. The tree that we just did, Nadine?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then what marks can you apply here that you applied and learned there in that piece, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And then showing the texture of the tree bark. How did you take that idea and move it in here? You know, if you remember the last one, we have that curvilinear thing that went down. But what did you learn from that? How to play with the dark areas to come up with surface quality and surface texture. You know, so then go in there and use some of those marks that you learned in that tree bark to show the differences in the striations in the bark of these, how would you say, human-made stumps to resemble a natural phenomenon, you know, or these naturally cut, raw cut, you know, stumps in tree bark or tree trunks aligned to give you that texture. These small agitations are needed. You know. And that's pretty much it. It's 12:15, so we can finish this up. Like I said, everybody, you can just keep on working on some of your mark making. As a suggestion, and what I would say is follow the darknesses, follow the shadows. If you follow the shadows with your mark making, what follows is a whole bunch of light. So your light areas are going to come if you work within your darks.
That's right. Follow the shadows.
Yep. And so then now after that, everybody, next week we'll be filling in with the water soluble graphite and possibly some watercolors or some markers if you would want. But I'm mainly going to be dealing with the watercolor and the water soluble graphite, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So next week, same bad time, same bad channel, everybody.
Same bad channel.
There it is.
There it is, everybody.
That's the day's, how would you say, today's part one of Panda Slumber.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay.
Did we see yours, Nadine, yet, or you want to hold off till
Oh, I
next week?
did. I popped it up, but
Oh,
I
okay.
you saw it. Here you go.
There it is. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep. 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 Just keep working. Keep working those dark areas, the light areas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Play with what the panda is doing and play with those darknesses to accumulate a little bit more texture around the backside of the ear, going down to the arm.
Here.
You know? Yeah.
Here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome
And then
sauce.
yeah, then when you play with those more, you'll start to understand even more about the suggestion of, you know, looking at the shadows, even the darks within the darks, to be able to come up with a mark.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? That'll justifiably make us believe the deck and make us believe that panda. So I'm happy with my rendition thus far. And
Me
hopefully
too.
everybody else are too as well. Nadine, you should be as well too.
I'm
Yeah.
getting there. I'm getting there. It's, it's just in the doing. It's in the doing.
That's it. The journey is everything, everybody. The
The
journey is everything.
journey is everything. And with that, we want to say thank you for joining us today. If you're watching this in the rebroadcast, be sure to leave a message. How do you feel about drawing this panda? I mean, does it make you all warm and fuzzy inside? Because we're getting into the fur and
Mm-hmm.
mark invention and how to apply that. Like in my head, I would probably be saying, how can I draw all this fur? How
Mm-hmm.
can I imply that? And I think it's just really interesting, the journey that we are going on to look at how we can approach showing texture with our mark management. And
Yep.
so, with that, definitely want to say to everyone, Don and I, we want to say Happy New Year. Hope you're being safe. And if
Mm-hmm.
you do resolutions, definitely make creating with us a resolution. And
Yes.
yeah, because we're just about getting you inspired in the mindset that as human beings, we are all artists and we're here to create.
That's it. If you're a creation, you must create. Let's
You
go. Keep
must create.
creating.
And we just don't want you to forget about that. So definitely, definitely. as you're going about your day and your work week, think about that. Think about the fact that you create every day, every moment, every second, every hour. You are creating. All right, all right.
Yeah,
And with
buddy.
that, we want to say, as always,
Keep
keep
creating.
creating.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Be safe, everyone. Be blessed and have a great week. Bye bye.